Welcome to Australia, where it's currently 40 degrees Celsius at 7 p.m. I don't know how the majority of people survived. You know, the common folk that actually go outside and do things. I just stay inside all day and I'm still not able to cope. If I have to go down to the car or to the shops, I feel like I'm going to die. So, yeah, Australian summers, they're quite brutal. And hopefully everyone's getting through it okay. I made sure we put announcements out in our team channels for our staff, just letting them know, like, you know, take it easy during the summer period. Make sure you put the air cons on at the houses you clean. And if they don't have aircon, either, you know, we got to cancel it or just really pace yourself because you don't want to give yourselves heat stroke. That's the last thing we want because it is brutal, especially like cleaning bathrooms. You can have the whole house air conditioned, but most bathrooms do not have air conditioning and they turn into absolute ovens when you're trying to clean them. So outside it can be 40 degrees, but inside it can sometimes be like 60. So it's ridiculous. And I don't think it's the worst in Australia here. I think over East is really going through it right now. There's like floods and fires all happening at the same time. It's anarchy out there, but hopefully everyone's doing well. I just got off, or a couple of hours ago, I got off the phone with our manager in Bunbury, and recently, probably about 3 months ago, we hired this person who's on a wage subsidy, which is something we've never done before. We've explored it. We've trialed people that had a supposed wage subsidy, and it just didn't really feel like the right fit, and it didn't feel like they were going to work out long term. So we, didn't take them on and didn't engage them. But this particular person, we got approached by an agency that was offering a wage subsidy, and we thought, why not? We hadn't got one of these offers in a while, and we just felt good about it. And so Stacey sent that person through for an interview. She apparently did great, and then she joined the team, did phenomenal. She was an amazing cleaner. And 3 months has passed, and we've now just reached the first stage of actually getting our subsidy. So I found out today we're getting paid $5,000 just for employing this person, which is, crazy to think about. So it's a $10,000 wage subsidy if the person works for us for 6 months, I think. I might need to double check that. I think it's 6 months. It could be 12. But nevertheless, it is pretty insane where, we're in an industry where people are complaining they can't get staff when there's literally schemes and incentives that pay you to have staff. Pretty cool stuff. So I was talking to Stacey. I was like, man, we could just, employ 10 people on a wage subsidy a year and get an extra $100,000 in pure profit because their wages are already accounted for in our profit and loss. Like we've already paid that. We've already invoiced the customers. That's just pure profit. That's pure cream on top. And it's great. And, this person's great. She's a great fit in the team. I met her at our Christmas party and she was lovely, really cool. And I know people who have grown their entire businesses off the back of wage subsidies, and most of their profit and their revenue actually comes from the wage subsidy, which is very, very funny. And, it's just another way that you can grow your business, that you can increase profit margins and profitability and, think outside the box a little bit and be a bit different and just open yourself up to a different perspective in business. And there's so many different inroads that you can go down and so many doors that you could open, and it's interesting. So we've had that happen recently. It's been successful. She's been great. So she's been a great cleaner, gets great feedback. And so not only are we making money from her being on the team and just being an employee because, she's cleaning for people, we're charging those customers, we're paying her a salary, and on top of that, we're getting a wage subsidy. So it's like we're getting paid to have great staff. Pretty cool. Now, that's all good and well, but we've actually had one of the worst couple of weeks in business in terms of staffing. So I don't know the exact number, but we had about 55 staff and we're down to we got down to about 45 all of a sudden. And it was okay. So we lost 10 staff in the span of a couple of weeks, which sounds like terrible, but I had 4 trainees ready to go in Perth that were starting training, and in Bunbury, our other location, we had, I think 6. Oh, sorry, no, it was 4 or 5 more trainees in that location ready to go. So we were anticipating for a lot of growth, and so we started to prepare for that, and we hired a lot more than what we usually do, and we also recognize that it's the Christmas period, New Year period, so often there's a lot of change and people move on and drop off. And there wasn't really any, bad reasoning for why these people left. Like 3 people were pregnant and they're in like the late stage of pregnancy where they just can't really work anymore. So 3 people have left all because they're pregnant at sort of the same, they're in their, second, third trimester now, and they're all at that same point at the same time. We've got other people who are currently pregnant that we're expecting to leave in the next few months. There's people that, some of the younger team members, they finish uni, one of them, and they're going into their career. One of them started uni. One of them moved away for uni. 2 people moved away in general. So it's just like, it's all happening all at once. But we were proactive in the sense that we were preparing for growth. And now what that's led to is that we're just we're just maintaining. So on the flip side of that, if we didn't prepare for growth, if we just kept doing things as we were and we lost 10 people in the span of 2 weeks, that would have not been good. That would have been quite adverse. That would have been quite bad for us. And that would have definitely set us back a bit. We would have had to cancel clients, probably get rid of clients altogether, because we can't just hire 10 people on a whim just like that. So we prepared for growth, and we actually ended up losing staff, but it was great that we had that preparation in place and those contingencies, because that basically replaced what we lost. And now we've just pumped up our ad spend with our hiring ads. So we're now trying to get ahead of the curve again, and we're going to put some more people in training so that we can again prepare for growth. So that was like an interesting lesson for me and an interesting experience that really just shows me the importance of being proactive and thinking ahead in business, and always having that growth and abundance mindset. Because if we, like, the numbers were good, money was good, everything was going good, if we just wanted to maintain that, if we just got scared, or we got a little bit, we didn't want to take on any more risk or any more work, and we wanted to lay back a little bit, that would have really hit us hard, losing that many staff in a couple of weeks. So we're back up to like 55 to 60, something like that. I don't know the exact number right now. It's changed quite a bit. And things are looking okay. Like, it's going to be busy. It's going to be tight because we've also put a lot of new clients on, and we've won some new commercial contracts, which is cool. It's going to be a tight end to the month, but we're going to go into next month, February, full steam ahead. We're going to be super prepared. And, a year ago, we would not have dealt with this anywhere near as good as we did now. I think last year, probably around the same time, we lost 5 people in a month, like a longer timeline, less people leaving. So like half the damage of what's happening now. And it really shook us. I think I made a podcast episode as well about like, this is the worst time I've ever had in business. And I was like, really feeling it, and this is so much worse, but we've actually maintained everything. We haven't canceled any cleans. We haven't really had to give people more shifts. Like, everything's worked out well. So it's really good. And so just take that little anecdote from me as maybe a good indicator or a good reminder that you should be continue to be proactive and have that growth and abundance mindset in your own business. Because, once again, I have not muted my phone during a recording. How many times have I done that? We should get some sort of counter going for that. But yeah, let that serve as a faithful reminder to you that you should always have that abundance and that growth mindset, because even if you don't grow, something may hit you, something unexpected may happen, and it may cause you to go backwards. But if you have that proactiveness and you have that forward-thinking momentum, it's going to steer you in the right direction through those tough times, or those otherwise tough times. Because for us, it's just kind of sucks because we were prepared to really, hit the ground running this month, but we've really just kept things equal and kept the scales balanced, which is fine. It happens. You can't always just be on an upwards trajectory, even though we are going to be set for that again next month, but it just doesn't always work like that. So there you go. That's what's been happening this month. And yeah, just funny that a year ago, this would have been I would have been stressing, I would have been anxious and all sorts of stuff. Like, this is probably the worst thing that can happen. And funnily enough, it's not an issue at all. It's just that's a shame. And if this happened 2 years ago, man, I would have been thinking about, and I mean, it has happened 2 years ago on a smaller scale, where I've lost staff and clients at the same time. And I'm like, I don't want this business anymore. I can't be bothered with the hassle. I want to give this up. I'm done. I've had so many times where I thought about that. Literally so many times. I can remember times where even it's I don't even want to get into that. It happens a lot, or it happened a lot. It doesn't happen much these days, but certainly in the first 4 or 5 years, I had times where I was like, I just don't think this is worth it anymore. I don't think it's worth the pain, the stress, the anxiety, the financial burden and setbacks. But thank the heavens that I stuck around, because look, I don't have the strongest willpower of probably anyone listening to this, and I don't have the most amount of discipline as anyone listening to this, and certainly not back then. So I think if I had something else that I could have jumped into, some other opportunity, or I had a job that I could fall back on, or someone else to support me and while I wasn't working, I think there's a chance that I would have stopped and I would not be where I am now, which would be a terrible shame. So I'm thankful that things worked out the way they did. I'm thankful that I didn't have a plan B. I'm thankful that I didn't have another option, because I may have gone to that at some point. And there's a lot of people who are in much tougher positions than I ever was, and they probably have backup options and they have other things they can turn to, but they don't do it out of sheer determination or belief in themselves or stupidity even, but it works. So props to all of you that are constantly going through the grind every day and the motions of it, and just don't take what you see on Instagram as reality and what you see on TikTok and YouTube. Like, we all go through struggles day to day, week to week. It could be mental struggles, it could be operational struggles, it could be sales, it could be money, it could be anything. We all go through stuff. Doesn't matter what level you're at. I was speaking to someone earlier who's at around 3 million a year. He's having a lot of doubts about himself and his business and the things he's doing, and he's having problems. And I was reassuring him, man, we're all the same. We're all cut from the same cloth. We're at different stages of the journey, and the problems, they're always going to be there. They're just going to be repackaged differently. So it's all about your mindset and how you orient your attitude and your thinking towards these problems. That's how you're going to steer through these conflicts and these hard times. And that's ultimately how you're going to come out the other side unscathed and a stronger, more resilient person, leader, and business owner. So that's the news for me today. I was ranting for a long time. I apologize. But actually, no, I'm going to continue ranting because something else happened, which was funny and interesting and bizarre and everything at the same time. So as most of you hopefully know, I post content on TikTok and Instagram, and I have a couple of friends that do the same thing, and they do it on Facebook as well. So they post their videos on Facebook, and Facebook actually has a monetizable program for creators where you can make money from views and likes and followers, which you can't get in Australia at the moment on Instagram and TikTok. Maybe you can on Instagram, not sure, but definitely not TikTok. So I was like, man, I may as well do that. It's not going to take much effort. I've already made the videos. I may as well just repost them. So about a month ago, I started reposting all of the content I would upload on TikTok and Instagram, and I would repost it to Facebook. And it was after about a month of doing that, I had 11 followers. I had less than 1,000 views on all the videos, and I was like, man, do I just suck? Did I just get lucky on TikTok and Instagram for some reason? And it wasn't until a couple of days ago, I think, or about a week ago, that someone sent me a page, and it was me on Facebook with 5,500 followers, and the videos are getting millions of views, hundreds and thousands of likes and comments and all this engagement. And they're monetizing that, so they're getting paid for all this stuff. And it's me, it's my content, but I was blocked, so I never even saw that stuff. So they set this account up. It was very intentional. They blocked me and all the accounts that I made, and they just started reposting my content, and they were getting so many views and so many followers and all these likes and all this engagement stuff. And meanwhile, I'm posting my own content as well, and I've got 11 followers and I'm getting no views, and I am the person. It's such a bizarre thing. So yeah, I hopefully will get that account taken down. It's a little bit unfair and a little bit weird that they're just profiting off my content. I've never made a cent from my views and stuff on TikTok and Instagram, because that's never been a thing. You can't monetize for that. But all of a sudden someone comes along, reposts my stuff on Facebook, and they're making money. Crazy stuff. And it was really funny. And it was wow. Well, I feel better about myself now knowing that my content is doing well on Facebook. It's just not doing well for me. It's doing well for someone else who is impersonating me. So yeah, very interesting. And yeah, just strange. But anyway, didn't really have a topic that I wanted to talk about today. I just had some thoughts and stuff, and something that I've discovered recently in my business. I've been running for about 7 years now, and I'm starting to notice a pattern of old clients coming back, and they come back in waves. So people that I used to clean for years ago, like years and years ago when I first started, when I was like 18, 19. Now, I cleaned their house for a while. It was good. And then for whatever reason, they moved on and didn't think anything of it, never captured details and remarketed to people. But over the last year, especially, a lot of these people have been coming back and they've been reactivated clients. So it's happening a lot in Bunbury. Hasn't really happened in Perth because I haven't been operating in Perth for long, but it's happened with one person. But in Bunbury, we've had all of these customers from years and years ago suddenly come back. And we haven't done any selling. We haven't needed to do any hard work to get those because they already have the trust there and they already know us and they already, like us. So we're just getting customers for nothing. And it's because they've come back from the past. So it got me thinking, I've got access to all the information of all the customers I've ever had. And if I was a bit more savvy than I am now and I remarketed to all of those old inactive clients, I could probably reactivate a lot of them. So do as I say, not as I do. If you've been in business for a while and you've got access to customer information, which if you don't, by the way, this is why stuff like this is so important. Not only do you not own any information until you have their email address, phone number, and names, doesn't matter how many followers you have or anything. If you don't have that information, you do not own those clients' details. So not only that, but if you don't have the details, you can't market to them. You can't reactivate old clients and you can't have this entirely new marketing channel and this stream of leads and getting customers in, which is what I probably should have done. I mean, I didn't really need it. It's cool, and it's not a good enough excuse to say things are so busy, I don't need it. But it would be great to have a system in place where I would reactivate old clients from years and years ago. But I'm saying that if you've been in business for a long time, over probably 3 years, 2 or 3 years, if you've been in business for at least that amount of time, you've probably got a lot of clients, I would assume, that you used to clean for. And for whatever reason, they dropped off. You may think it's because the service wasn't good. That may be your first thought because us business owners, we tend to be very insecure people and we doubt ourselves. And, most of us don't survey our customers when they leave out of fear. But a lot of those people, they probably moved on for various reasons that had nothing to do with the service or you. So you may remarket to them a year or 2 years or 3 years or even 4 or 5, as I've experienced down the track. And you may find that they just get back to you immediately and book in cleans and become clients again. And you're like, wow, that was easy. And all you had to do was send out an email or an SMS blast. Now, I know this works because I've seen it happen in a lot of other businesses, and it's something that I would like to do in my own business. And not to boast, but I don't really need it, but it would be good and it would be savvy of me and it would be smart of me as a marketer and business owner, but I don't. So again, do as I say, not as I do. But I've seen it work in other businesses. I've seen it work in my dad. He's an optometrist and he has his own optometry practice. So he is like the optometrist, receptionist, business owner. He's like a kind of one-man band. And he has thousands of patient cards from over the years because obviously being an optometrist, you see a lot more people and you'd have a lot more customers than house cleans. House cleans are a lot more, they're fewer and far between. There's less volume and it's more of an intimate kind of thing, relationship between business owner and customer. But he had thousands of old client cards and he would literally just send out an SMS blast being like, hey, actually, I don't even know what the SMS said, but it was very simple. It was something like, hey, you haven't seen us in a couple of years, or how have you been? Come in for an eye test. And there was an offer for an eye test, bulk billed, Medicare, whatever. And he would get just waves of people coming back. And they're people that have obviously seen him before. So they know him and they presumably like him and trust him. And they just come straight back. And you may think, well, why wouldn't they just do that on their own accord if they're looking for a house cleaner or they're, in this case, looking for an optometrist? And it's because, newsflash, you're not at the top of people's consciousness all the time, 24/7, perpetually. People aren't constantly thinking about their house cleaner or their housemate or their optometrist. They may have gone through seasons of change. They may have gotten married. They may have moved house. They may have had a baby. They may have, won the lottery and cut everyone in their lives off completely. So when they're going through these things, the last thing they're going to be thinking about is, that house cleaner I had 2 years ago, man, he's just popped into my mind. I need to contact him because I want a cleaner. Obviously, that's not how it works. But, things have probably changed for them. They're probably in a place where they might need a cleaner again, but they're just not going to reach out because it's not at the top of their mind. But if you send them a text message or a simple email just saying, hey, would you like to come back? Would you like a quote? Just touching base to see how things are going. Something like that. Very, very simple. You can reactivate a lot of old clients just by doing that. And even if you're new in the business and you don't have this opportunity yet because you don't have a lengthy history of former clients, then this is the best time for you to actually be hearing this, because now you can do what I didn't do and really create a sophisticated database or CRM of all the customers you ever have, and they can be tagged and categorized based on who they are, what type of cleans they have, etc. And over time, you can store that information and you can market to them in future if they ever become inactive customers. Now, there may be some customers that you don't ever want to reactivate, and that's completely fine. You would just filter those out of your list. You would tag them as whatever, like Karen or, whatever the thing may be. But so you would keep that information on file, and eventually you could remarket to them. And that just opens up an entirely new marketing channel and avenue of getting clients. And it's the easiest thing to do because you've already cleaned for them before. They've already done the hardest thing ever, which is exchanging their hard-earned money for your time and effort in cleaning their house. So the hard work is already done. You just need to reactivate them, which a lot of the time all it takes is a simple SMS or email. I've seen it happen in countless businesses. I've helped my dad do it. I helped him set up the CRM where he could send out a SMS or email blast, and then he just wrote a simple, message, and so many people came back, like dozens and dozens in the first couple of weeks, and that equates to hundreds, sometimes $1,000 to $2,000 in revenue for him. So really, really high ROI for not a lot of effort, and I've seen it happen in other cleaning businesses. I've seen particularly a lot of American businesses that run like that kind of Launch 27, what's it called? The, go high level kind of system where it's like a whole different culture in America. People book in cleans whenever they need them. They don't really set things in stone. Very, very different business model. I would hate to run a business like that. But anyway, they have a lot of people that drop off because of that type of business model, and they remarket to them pretty well. And they have these automatic systems, and you don't have to have it all automated. It does help, but a lot of the time all it takes is a simple email, a simple SMS, and you can reactivate a lot of old clients and make a lot of money. And we're experiencing that, and it's not even intentional. We're not even trying to reactivate old clients, and we're just seeing heaps of old customers come back. And it made me realize, wow, I had it all wrong. There were some customers that came back, and I was like, I thought that person didn't like me, or I thought that person didn't like the service. And I just never, queried them on it or surveyed them when they stopped being a customer all those years ago. But really it was probably, them just going through a period of change, them moving house or starting a new job or starting a family or whatever it may be. And then I had these stupid, irrational, anxiety-driven thoughts in my head, I'm just not doing a good job. They don't like me. They can't afford it, whatever. But then they come back and they become a valued, super happy, super satisfied customer. And it's like money for jam because we didn't have to do anything to get that. We've already serviced them. All the hard work is done. So again, do as I say, not as I do. You should collect all of your customers' data throughout the entire period of your business. They should be neatly categorized and tagged in a CRM. If you don't know what a CRM is, Google it. There's heaps. There's free ones. HubSpot is a free CRM. We still use HubSpot and we don't even pay for it. And we're a pretty big business now. So collect your customers' data. If you're very new, you may think this doesn't apply to you, this whole episode and the content we're talking about, but this is actually the best time you could be hearing this, because now you can learn that, you can take it, you can harness it, and you can eventually one day kind of reach into that honeypot and grab out a big stash of your old customers and reactivate them. And it might come at a time where you really need it, and it's going to be good. We've had so many customers come back recently, and it's like a trip down memory lane, because it's names that I used to clean for when I was 18, 19. It was pretty surreal, pretty cool. And yeah, it's a very good thing that you can do in business. A lot of businesses do it. A lot of restaurants, cafes, they do it. A lot of them will do it in kind of guerrilla or, incognito ways. They'll send you a happy birthday email which is a great thing you can do as well. You can get your customers' birthdays. Amazing thing you can do. Just send them a happy birthday theme. Comes with like a little voucher, like, whatever, 20% off a meal or 20% off a clean. And that shows personalization. It shows that you're thinking of them, even if you're not, even if it's just an automated system. But, from now on, you could just collect your customer's date of birth as part of your quoting and onboarding system. And then you can store that information and, send them happy birthday emails. Even if they're still customers, you doing that will just strengthen the relationship. And then on the other hand, if they're not customers and they become inactive, you can send them emails like that and text messages, and it has a chance to reactivate them if you send them an offer. And it's just a nice thing to do. It makes people feel good, and it makes people feel seen and cared about. And, that's just one example and one idea out of a plethora of potential things you can do. So yeah, that's all for today. Let me know if you like these episodes where I kind of just talk about whatever, and it makes the episode a little bit longer. It may be a decrease in value. I'm not just jamming it full of ideas and principles and knowledge. But if you're interested for me to just get on the microphone and talk about what's going on in my life and the business and whatever's interesting me or not interesting me and whatnot, I can do that. But if you really don't like that, let me know. I'm not going to take it personally. Just be like, hey, Jason, don't really care much about you. Keep talking about the business stuff though. That's great. I don't care if you got a new dog, or I don't care if, you went away on a trip. Like, just keep talking about the cleaning business stuff, buddy. I'll be like, perfect. Thank you for letting me know. I'll stop all the yapping and I'll just stick to what I'm good at. So let me know. I'm happy to just jump on and just talk away. And, it makes the episodes longer, which I feel like I appreciated when I used to clean a lot. I used to love podcasts that were a bit longer because it felt like I was kind of just like in there with them. Like you're in a house all by yourself. You get to kind of listen on these long podcasts, which is why I started a podcast in the beginning. I really wanted a platform where I could just talk for a long time. And, my audience was just the perfect type of audience. You're in houses, you're in offices alone. It can be at night. It can be pretty lonely. So having someone in your ear, even someone as annoying as me, it can be good sometimes for a little bit of time. So, and at this point, a lot of you have spent a ridiculous amount of time with me. Like some of you have listened to me speak for 40 hours through this podcast, and it's a pretty scary thought. I wouldn't want to put up with myself for that long. So, but thank you so much for listening. If you like this episode, I'd appreciate if you could leave a 5-star rating. It really helps other people find the podcast and learn and grow with us. And also use the comment feature. There's a comment feature on Spotify under this podcast if you want to leave your thoughts or just like a thumbs up and let me know, that you like things and you want to give me a little bit of praise to make my head a bit bigger, boost my ego. So thanks for listening. Hope you're having a great day. Stay out of the heat if you're listening in summer, and I'll catch you all next time.